Welcome to SharePoint Saturday, Philadelphia. For those of you who are new to SharePoint Saturday Philly, SharePoint Saturday is a one-day conference that provides the value of connecting the thought leaders in terms of the people who produce the content, write the blog posts, write the books, deliver the keynote speeches around the world with the end users who benefit from it. So this is the opportunity, the rare opportunity, especially when it was first established in 2009, for an individual who may be new to the Microsoft community, or someone who is a working practitioner and they have read a blog post that helped them solve a problem, or to help them create a custom solution, whether it's the perspective or the actual sample code provided in that article, and to be able to meet that individual live and in living color at an event atmosphere. So the difference between SharePoint Saturday and your traditional conference is that the speakers themselves agree when they submit their session that they are to engage. So there are numerous events such as SharePoint at the end of the day that allows for speakers and attendees to fellowship and to share information based around Microsoft SharePoint and related platforms such as the Power Platform, such as Office 365 and the numerous apps that exist within Office 365. So it truly is a unique experience that has spanned into a global phenomenon. And the history and what makes SPS Philly so special is that it was one of the original events that kicked off this wave of community events around the world. So I am thrilled and I'm honored to be able to deliver my unique brand of skill set for the SPS Philly audience. So before we go into our topic, which is LinkedIn and its integration with Office 365, specifically for the Work Center here at SPS Philly, I am what you would call a why kind of guy. And it's important to understand the why before we get into the what and, of course, the who. So when we look at LinkedIn from a governance standpoint, from integrating within the enterprise or the Work Center, it's important to note that LinkedIn is the most utilized social media platform amongst Fortune 500 companies, the most used. So that means while your information workers, your employees, your contractors, your consultants are either working, they're also browsing LinkedIn. And now what we're going to cover in this session are the integration points between the world's most utilized productivity suite of tools, which is Office 365, and the most utilized social media platform amongst corporate America, Fortune 500 companies. So the question that I have for you, or the food for thought that you will take back to your Work Center and hopefully answer within this session, is your company active on LinkedIn? I'm going to show you some tips and tools within Office 365 specifically in order to help that process to take place. We're also going to discuss what your company strategy is and examine that, and also discuss what it can be. So when we look at the source of this information, as far as LinkedIn being the most used social media platform, LinkedIn Marketing Solutions blog comes into play. So what we're going to cover is a continuation of the reputation management tour. So this is reputation management part 2, LinkedIn for the Work Center, LinkedIn integration with Office 365. Now, this session assumes that you've attended the reputation management part 1, where we discuss LinkedIn and its value from a personal standpoint. So you may be a senior professional, you may be a consultant, you may be a business owner, you may be self-employed, and you may have had questions on the effectiveness of LinkedIn. And in the reputation management part 1, we cover how LinkedIn has been acquired by Microsoft and the underlying value of that acquisition and what is coming down the line. Now, throughout 2018 and early parts of 2019, the part 1 did not have, let's say, all the features that were promised during the initial rollout during the acquisition. But during this session, we now have additional tips and tools and strategies that will lead you to utilize LinkedIn much more in your organization. So this particular session is based on the understanding that, okay, Shadid, I understand that LinkedIn is valuable. Now I need to utilize it for my team. I need to utilize it for my work center. I need to utilize it for my company. And so we're going to go through LinkedIn from that perspective, and I'm going to show you how it integrates with Office 365's most popular tools and integration points that exist that are built into the system. But first, before we go into that, I'm going to give you your first bonus for those of you who are in attendance. So what you're going to do is utilize the Find Nearby feature on your LinkedIn mobile app. And these are just screenshots that I'm walking through currently. But if you opt in to the text message code that I'm going to provide for you, you will receive the full explanation, the full breakdown of this particular feature, which is a very underutilized and severely underrated feature within LinkedIn that will help you increase your contacts and connections with any event that you attend moving forward. Now, here at SPS Philly, you have the opportunity to connect with people using this particular strategy. So the first thing I want you to do is to access your LinkedIn mobile app. Your LinkedIn mobile app. So no matter what your particular operating system is for your smartphone, you want to utilize the LinkedIn mobile app. Not use your desktop, utilize the LinkedIn mobile app. If you are new to LinkedIn in this session and you don't necessarily, let's say, have LinkedIn downloaded to your smartphone, let's take a moment and do so. So go to your particular app gallery for your phone, and then you will essentially download the LinkedIn app. And I'll just give you one moment to do so. Now, for those of you, and as I mentioned, those of you who are downloading the app at this time, you'll have the ability to opt in to receive this guide in full detail. Full detail. So, and I'll share that SMS code or text message code in a second for you to access that. So what you're going to do is select the people icon on the bottom toolbar next to home. It's to the right of home. And these are your connections. So you're going to select the connections icon. And at the header, right beneath the profile picture in search toolbar, you're going to find nearby. You can see that it's off. So next, you're going to select the find nearby icon. And since this is your first time initiating find nearby, it's going to give you a prompt that says discovery isn't enabled. So what you have to understand is that LinkedIn utilizes Bluetooth sharing technology in order to find the nearby members. So you're going to select enable. Next, you are giving LinkedIn permission to make your data available in terms of your LinkedIn profile to nearby Bluetooth devices, even when you're not utilizing the app. So this is a powerful feature. This allows you, whenever you're at a meetup group, whenever you're in an airport heading to a business conference of some sort, when you utilize the find nearby feature, this allows you to connect with people who are going in the same direction. It allows you to have additional meetings, meet additional colleagues, and ultimately build your reputation network utilizing LinkedIn. So at this time on my smartphone, the find nearby is up and running. So you would select OK, as indicated in the screenshot. And what you'll see is the find nearby will begin to work. So when you're on this page at any time, you can discover members. So if you're at SPS Philly, for example, and you have a break, let's say lunchtime, and you want to find someone to sit down and have a chat with during lunch, after your sessions are done for the morning, you will go to the find nearby feature and see who comes up, and you can add them to your network. You can send them a message and begin to build relationships at common events and affairs. So that is the first bonus for you today. Let's get back into the presentation, shall we? So as I mentioned, this is the reputation management part 2. So this is a continuation in the journey. So when we look at the hidden truth in terms of LinkedIn and conversions, and I'll define what conversions are in a moment so that we have a common definition. And you can also take a picture of this graphic and tweet this to your audience utilizing the hashtag SPS Philly. So when you look at the number of conversions per social platform, and let's use the caveat of business to business because conversions is essentially a business term. So LinkedIn is by far, the leading platform for social media conversions for business. And when we look at what conversions are, it essentially measures the success rate of transforming a visitor into a customer. So a conversion is an outcome that is measured, and the rate of success of that conversion or transformation is known as your conversion rate. So it could be opting in email subscribers. It could be customers who purchase from a page. It could be downloads of your ebook. It could be downloads of the speaker slides for this event. So LinkedIn leads the league in terms of social media platforms and the number of conversions. So when you're talking about serious platforms for business to business or business to consumer usage, LinkedIn is far and away not only doubling, but all the social media platforms combined do not have the value that LinkedIn delivers. So let's discuss a few ideas in terms of what we're going to cover in this session. We're going to cover best practices for operational readiness. So again, we're not discussing LinkedIn from a social media standpoint. We're discussing it from a corporate governance program or document standpoint. Best practice for operational readiness. We're going to cover how to prep your LinkedIn profiles prior to integration with Office 365. This is very important because when you're transitioning from I am a individual, I am a personal brand, I am an employee, and now your organization is integrating LinkedIn into the work center, not just from a marketing standpoint, but I want you to think about the underlying data that LinkedIn provides. It becomes part of Microsoft Search. It becomes part of Microsoft Outlook. It becomes part of the overall enterprise once user accounts are connected via Azure Active Directory. So we're going to cover some best practices for prepping your LinkedIn profiles prior to integration. Next, as I mentioned, the governance plan is job number one. So we're going to cover the building blocks to your corporate LinkedIn governance plan. You should leave this session with an idea of how to utilize LinkedIn for your organization and the governing standards, rules, policies, and procedures that will make up your governance plan. So now, we've covered the why, we've covered the what in terms of what we're going to cover. Now we'll cover the who is delivering the information that you're going to consume during this session. I am Shadi Laser, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. And a fun fact, we are here at SPS Philly, and I am a native of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Chestnut Hill Hospital, to be exact. I'm a native of Philadelphia. Life has taken me in many different locales, locations, and directions, but it all started here in Greater Philadelphia. And we have, let's say, at the bottom of the screen, of your screen, the bottom left, I'm a best-selling author of the book that you see here. Best-selling author on a business book known as Our Very Best Advice to Succeed in Business, written by a few great colleagues of mine who I greatly respect in business, as well as the technical editor of Mastering Office 365 Administration, which was written by the great Thomas Carpe, the even greater Nakia Carter, and the even greater Alara Rogers of Liquid Mercury Solutions. So you can look for both books and search for both books on Amazon.com. Our Very Best Advice to Succeed in Business is a business book with lessons learned that will save you time, energy, and effort. And Office 365 administration is a definitive walkthrough of the latest and greatest with the Office 365 platform from an admin standpoint. Very grateful. Now, in terms of my professional acumen, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, and I am the founder of a company known as Managed Path Solutions. And Managed Path Solutions is a management consulting firm that focuses on business development and helping businesses understand collaboration and help them to save time and money utilizing systems and platforms for integration. Now, in terms of some of my more notable projects, fun fact number 2 is that I'm the only individual to architect the official state websites of the state in which I live, which is the great state of Maryland, and also the Commonwealth of which I am born, which is Pennsylvania. So I am the architect of Maryland.gov and also the architect of Pennsylvania.gov. Now, with these particular projects, one of the biggest challenges with, let's say, utilizing Microsoft technology and SharePoint in particular for government websites is the challenge of public-facing sites and also ensuring that millions of people can access these websites on mobile devices and or tablets. And my team and I, of which I was the front man, convinced the government that utilizing mobile technology or responsive design for official state websites was the wave of the future, is something to invest in. Now, this particular architecture for these particular projects is utilized in 17 US states and or commonwealths at this time. So it was a lot of hard work, and thank you to members of the team who took part in those projects if you are watching this broadcast at this time. And so you can tweet at the bottom of this particular screen. That is what you can utilize. 47 public-facing sites in 1 year for the Pennsylvania project was definitely a lot of long nights, but it taught me a ton about governance, about team building, and making sure your architecture is sound, because with state websites, you can't, let's say, make mistakes because millions of people are accessing the information that you've published in terms of content. In terms of small business, from the day that I touched down on planet Earth, I've been raised in family business, and I have a love and passion for small business, and I often speak at Microsoft events to the small business audience. I am the chapter president, chapter chair of SCORE.org, which is the nation's largest network of certified business mentors. It is a subset, as a consulting arm of the Small Business Administration. So I lead the 3rd oldest chapter in the United States of America, which is Greater Baltimore. Now, in terms of the bonus value that you will receive if you take the next steps, number 1, you will receive the LinkedIn and Outlook integration guide. You will receive, when it is published, the LinkedIn Office 365 integration online course, which will walk you through step-by-step with on-demand videos. And you'll also receive the LinkedIn and Microsoft Flow Quick Start Guide, which will provide you a primer on LinkedIn Flow templates and how to utilize the fastest growing automation tool in the business community, which is Microsoft Flow. And if you want additional information on LinkedIn and from a deep dive perspective, this link here, bit.ly/LinkedIn 2019 LSPUG, which is the Lawrence SharePoint User Group, will provide you an on-demand presentation from me to you, and you will have that information. You will also receive the Find Nearby documentation in detail, which I walked through in the beginning of this session. So the question is, how do I gain access to this information? You will text LinkedIn 2018, no spaces, LinkedIn 2018 to the number 44222 in order to gain access. That is LinkedIn 2018 to 44222 in order to gain access to the materials that I've just mentioned. And also you will receive the latest news and notes on my reputation management tour, as far as what I'm learning, what I'm sharing, reaction from audiences, so on and so forth. LinkedIn 2018 to 44222. Now, for best results, you will need your laptop, which access to LinkedIn, a smartphone to download the LinkedIn app. If you have not created your LinkedIn profile, you want to create your profile today. And since we're covering company pages in detail, you will utilize your LinkedIn personal profile if you do not have a company. So there's value for all in this particular session. This is not a monologue. This is not me talking at you about LinkedIn. I want you to open your LinkedIn profile. I want you to view your LinkedIn profile. In many cases, blow off the dust to your LinkedIn profile so that you can utilize it to your success and benefit. I hope that you do so. And the question that I have for you is, how does your company utilize LinkedIn? It falls into a few distinct islands or perspectives. Your company leadership could say, well, what is LinkedIn? Meaning, you need more information on the capabilities and what is possible with this platform. This is very common. B, social media is a time waster. C, they understand the importance, but need an overall roadmap. So they may see where LinkedIn comes into play. D, it is a major business driver for marketing, sales, and branding. And we're going to review a few company pages of Microsoft practices who I feel do things the right way in terms of industry leadership, and look at how they utilize company pages, because we're going to integrate these pages within the framework of Office 365. So take a moment and think of how your company utilizes LinkedIn, and look at some of the objections, look at some of the discussion points that may come up. Should companies be on LinkedIn? Here's a very powerful statistic. Actually, it's over 50% of all social traffic, meaning all attention, eyeballs, interest for company websites and blogs starts on LinkedIn. Microsoft acquisition of LinkedIn is the largest acquisition of any tool or platform in the history of the Microsoft Corporation. LinkedIn is the largest acquisition. The question is why? Why is this important? There are 3 million active job listings on LinkedIn. So it is becoming the default location for job search, resumes. It is ultimately replacing the resume as we speak. And when we look at the quality level in terms of management, when companies publish content, there's a 45% chance that the article is going to be read by a member of an upper level or management position. That includes managers, vice presidents, directors, and C-level executives. Now, to take this point a step further, the world is a lot smaller than you think. Now, this slide comes from the first part of the Reputation Management Tour, where I introduced the idea that there's 6 degrees of separation, or so we've been told, but the idea that social media ensures that, and also on-demand search through our search engines of today, whether it's Bing, whether it's Google, so on and so forth, that my theory is that there's 3 degrees of separation. And if you look a bit deeper into LinkedIn as a platform, you'll see that the connections are essentially mirror that as well. So social media has made the world a lot smaller. You have the ability to connect with others with greater ease in this case. So there are 63 million mobile users on LinkedIn on a monthly basis. So the world is accessing information on the smartphone. Reality is that when you need to make a purchase, when you need to find information, the world is searching on the smartphone. And LinkedIn has 63 million unique mobile users monthly. So these are new sessions that are taking place. And when we look at the future of business and leadership, there are 11 million millennial decision makers on LinkedIn. So the notion or the misconception that LinkedIn is your grandmother or grandfather's platform is a bit misguided, in that there are 11 million millennial decision makers, people who control the purse strings, control the flow of innovation within your given industry on LinkedIn today. Now, when we look specifically into the acquisition of Microsoft or LinkedIn by Microsoft, the reasoning is clear. Now, this particular slide is provided by the Microsoft Corporation. I did not use my abilities within Photoshop or Microsoft Paint in order to produce this. What we have here is an individual. So let's say this individual is a member of the organization. With the profile, now you have the ability to utilize LinkedIn data and have it exist across Office 365, including Windows as well. So the profile, anywhere that there's profile information, there's also LinkedIn data that will be provided, but you have to configure this in order for this to be a reality. But there are 8 built-in integration points between LinkedIn, which is a Microsoft product, and Office 365 and Windows in terms of utilizing Cortana, which I will speak on in a moment. So as I mentioned, profile data across your commonly used Office apps. The rise of the business user profile, the beginnings of the intelligent professional network, and some of the amazing things that you can do utilizing Microsoft Search ensures that you can build stronger networks utilizing the LinkedIn graph, and also in conjunction with the Microsoft graph. Now, as I mentioned, when you start to look at LinkedIn meeting AI, you now have the ability using Cortana and integrating that with your Windows profile and LinkedIn. So you can utilize the virtual assistant to set up meetings. And there's a few examples here in terms of HR, small business, Microsoft channel partners, and beyond Microsoft in terms of greater small business community. Meetings make the world go round. Meetings are the most expensive evolution within any company. So having the ability to automate and utilize AI in order to ensure that meetings run a bit more smoothly is a wise investment through integrating Cortana. And as I mentioned, Microsoft Graph and LinkedIn Graph side by side. So you can see with the Microsoft Graph, you have your calendar, you have your documents, you have your meetings, and the ability to build applications based on the data that underlies within the Microsoft Graph. But you also have the LinkedIn Graph. And with the acquisition of LinkedIn, which now gives you access to the underlying APIs of the LinkedIn Graph and allows you to build applications based on the data provided by the LinkedIn Graph. So just think about all the information within LinkedIn and the knowledge network within LinkedIn and how you can surface that information within the Work Center. And if you need a powerful example of the LinkedIn Graph in motion, you can go to economicgraph.linkedin.com. This particular slide is provided by the Microsoft Corporation. So as I mentioned, we are in a world, in a reality that is based on demand. So the ability to search your first, last name is not only done by you, but anyone who is within a decision-making capacity is searching for candidates prior to the meeting, prior to the interview, prior to the proposal. This is the world we live in, not only for hiring decisions or partnership decisions or business acquisition decisions, but for entertainment as well. When you, let's say, miss a TV show due to work or other activities, the first thing you do is you go to an on-demand resource such as YouTube, such as Hulu, or you may go to Netflix if you missed a movie that you enjoy. And so we live in an on-demand society. So the first task that I have for you is to search your first and last name. What do you find when you search your name? The next aspect that I want you to keep in mind is the power of keywords. Keywords are the engine, the glue that hold LinkedIn together. And when you look at optimizing your LinkedIn profile, your keywords are job number one and very important in terms of what information will show up. LinkedIn is the only social media platform that becomes smarter the more that you use it and the more relevant information that you feed it, due to the fact that the AI that is underlying LinkedIn is powered by the Microsoft Corporation. So it's important to understand what your keywords are in terms of your industry, because these are the words that people are searching for when finding your profile. So we look at integration points with Office 365. These are what I've test driven myself in terms of OneDrive integration, where you can share documents with LinkedIn colleagues without having their email address. OneNote integration, where you can publish to LinkedIn directly from your OneNote. Microsoft Flow with Flow templates. SharePoint, which will allow you to form a hub where you can publish directly to LinkedIn from a SharePoint list. Outlook, where you can integrate LinkedIn with profile cards, so on and so forth. Microsoft Dynamics has a direct connection with LinkedIn via Sales Navigator, which allows for social selling and deeper relationship building. So let's take a look at LinkedIn full walkthrough here. First things first. As we get our LinkedIn profile ready. The first thing I want you to keep in mind in terms of best practices to prepare your organization for LinkedIn integration with Office 365 is number one, is your headshot or your profile photo. Your profile photo, from a best practice standpoint, should not be, it should be a professional photo, number one. I would take the time to use a professional camera. As a resource, you can go directly to the Microsoft Store within your area and get a profile photo taken specifically for LinkedIn. So that service is available at the Microsoft Store. So that's the first thing you want to look at. Identify your local Microsoft Store and get your picture taken. Number two, you do not, so if you don't go to the Microsoft Store and you say, I want to do this myself, it should be easy, it's just a photo. I've taken photos all my life. Here are a few guidelines. Number one, you want to avoid the selfie. No selfies in your car, no selfies, period. Use a professional photo. Now have someone else take the photo. Number two, from a dress code standpoint, you want to dress one level above your day-to-day industry. So if you're a graphic designer and your work center is in flip-flops and t-shirts and shorts every day, simply put on a collared shirt and take a photo. This is a professional network and you want to be one step ahead or one step above your day-to-day dress code. So that is one aspect. Next, you want to avoid group photos entirely. So the picture of you with the other speakers at the event, you want to leave that for your profile, not for your profile photo. Next, you want to avoid any pictures with significant others. There are other social networks that will allow you to have profile pictures with your significant other. You want to avoid profile pictures with your pets and follow those guidelines in order to ensure success within your work center. Next, with the company pages. Now, every company has the ability to create a company page. Now, from a governance standpoint, company pages are created from the profile. So from a profile, one profile can have multiple company pages. So from a company standpoint, you want to utilize your company address or your Microsoft account in order to set up your profile. So this is one aspect that you want to keep in mind. So let's take a look at a few company pages that exist within the world around us. We'll start with the Coca-Cola Company. The one interesting detail is when you access a company page, the individuals that you are connected to via LinkedIn will show within your messages when you browse the company page, which allows you to form deeper relationships with those individuals. So with company pages, you have the ability to design your cover photo. You have the ability to add a profile image. And you also have the ability to drive attention or traffic through the link that you provide here on the profile. So this can link to a landing page. This can link to a website overall. Now, the first question I often receive is, how do I connect my personal profile to my company? I want to share company news. Then the first thing you would do is to simply follow the company profile. Now, from a governance standpoint or a social media strategy standpoint, you want to make sure that you are encouraging your employees to follow the company page, because the more people, the more employees that are sharing the information, that are amplifying the message, only helps to achieve your overall corporate objectives much, much faster. And there are various tools that exist outside of the scope of this presentation that allows for multiple, or let's say larger company, to basically allow from one dashboard to follow multiple people within a given company. So if you have 15 people within a company and you want those individuals to essentially be a part of a knowledge network where you're able to amplify a message overall, then you have the ability to do that through additional services that exist within LinkedIn for business users. So when we look at content, you have the ability using Microsoft Flow to publish content to your company page. So you have the ability to post, of course, as any social network, images. You have the ability to post words, text, images, and you can set this all up through your SharePoint list. So you have that ability to do so. So this is the overall company page. So this is an example of the Coca-Cola Company. Now, we'll look at another example of the Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts. Now, this is not a Microsoft company, but they can utilize Office 365 in order to publish content to this particular page. So as you can see, they have a cover image. Now, this particular design aspect or element cannot be updated through Office 365 or Flow, but these are steps that you take within the page in order to do so. So let's take a look at examples within the Microsoft community or industry. Give me a moment. So we have Planet Technologies, and Planet Technologies is a federal partner of the year and very well-known organization within the greater Maryland, DC, Virginia area. So as you can see, they've utilized the cover page to show their accolades and credibility indicators, and they utilize their content in order to show their various activities as a company and events that they are currently participating in and supporting. So within Office 365, Planet Technologies can publish data and details to that particular company page. You can also see who has worked within Planet Technology, so within your LinkedIn network. So when you start to integrate with Office 365, this data also is pulled from the LinkedIn graph via LinkedIn into Office 365. So let's move over to, so we've covered personal profiles and how you get personal profiles up and running and get them started. One detail that I did not mention in terms of personal profiles and steps that you can simply take to get your personal profile ready is to make sure that the company itself is updated on LinkedIn. So when you look at the personal profile, and my profile is a LinkedIn Premium account, but you still have the same information available on your personal profile, you have the ability to add the companies that you have worked for. And again, this gives you the ability to have the information or profile data. As I mentioned, I previously was an employee for Planet Technology, so it's listed here. And there's an IntelliSense that provides that information when you start to search for that company. So follow the company and also add them to your profile. Now we're going to move over to Office 365. Give me 1 second here. Now, first things first, this is your app gallery. Now, your app gallery is where you access all of your Office 365 apps. And so, as you can see, the first integration point is with LinkedIn directly available within Office 365 and in terms of the app gallery. Why would adding Office 365 to the app gallery be beneficial? Because it allows you to access the platform from a, let's say, a productivity standpoint along with the common apps that you utilize on a daily basis. So this is one step that you would take, and you simply go to explore all your apps. For those of you who are watching the broadcast on demand, and you would scroll down to the very bottom, and you can see that this is available. So for those of you for my higher level 400 and 500 level sessions where we go in depth in terms of building applications using the Microsoft Graph and LinkedIn, this is where you would start with those applications. For this session, which is 200 level, this is merely where you start to connect and add to your dashboard. So now we're going to go back and we're going to go into our admin center. And we're going to go into Azure Active Directory. And again, many organizations view LinkedIn being acquired by Microsoft as a standalone event. The first thing to keep in mind is that it's the largest acquisition of a platform in the history of the Microsoft Corporation. And so there's many features that are built in to Office 365 that you have to be aware of. So we're going into Azure Active Directory. We're going to select users. And when you scroll down to the user settings, you have, again, I did not write any custom code to integrate LinkedIn into Azure Active Directory. This is built in to Azure Active Directory. So what this allows is for users to connect their work or school Microsoft account with LinkedIn. So this enables data sharing between LinkedIn platform and Office 365. So those of you who are watching this video on demand, you can pause the video and go back and go to Azure Active Directory. You must have, of course, admin permissions to your tenant, and go to your user section, select user settings, and make sure that this is turned on. When it is turned on, then you have the ability to take the next step, which is to access these platforms, let's say within your apps within Office 365. Next, we're going to head over to Outlook. And we're going to use this example here. Now, my account is, well, let's take a step back. Take a step back here, because in order to utilize Office 365, it is very important to import your LinkedIn data into your Office 365 account. The biggest value when someone asks me the question, and I'm asked this question a lot because I travel the country discussing this particular topic. So what is the value of the LinkedIn acquisition? The main value of LinkedIn is not the platform itself. LinkedIn.com essentially is a user interface for the most powerful underlying graph that exists from an application building standpoint. So when you start to think about, and again, 400 and 500 level sessions go into Power Apps and LinkedIn integration, and we start to look at how to build using the LinkedIn graph. But for now, we're focused on the idea that LinkedIn is not just a place where you go in between jobs. There's an underlying graph. There are APIs that you can utilize to surface within your overall organization. So these are the company pages, but what I want to cover briefly, and of course with company pages, you do need to start to think about the government in terms of content approval, image approval, and centralized storage, and asset libraries within SharePoint are a perfect place to start to look at storage and approval. And with one demo example that I have, we use Microsoft Forms in order to set up approval, and when approved, it publishes the content to LinkedIn. So as I mentioned, this is the screenshot of what we just walked through. This is Azure Active Directory. This is the users panel, going into user settings and ensuring that LinkedIn account connections are connected in order to have data sharing using your Microsoft account. Now, as I was mentioning, this is a screenshot of the export of LinkedIn data to import into Microsoft Outlook. So you're exporting, you can export all of your contacts from LinkedIn into Microsoft Outlook. So when we discuss the true value of LinkedIn, as I mentioned, this is the true value. Importing data into Office 365. We have a CSV file that you can download, and that allows greater collaboration with your LinkedIn network. So when this is a screenshot of the import of the LinkedIn CSV file into Microsoft Outlook. Now, if you text the word LinkedIn 2018 to 44222, you will get the step-by-step guide of how to actually accomplish it, as I mentioned earlier in the slide. So, and I will walk through this briefly. When you first connect to Outlook or to LinkedIn using Outlook, you will receive this screenshot. So this is my Microsoft account within my Office 365 tenant, and it tells you after you've made the connection within Azure, your organization is giving you the power of LinkedIn within Outlook. I did not create the screen myself. There are 8 integration points between LinkedIn and Office 365. You also have access to profile cards. Now, within the profile card itself, you have on the far right, LinkedIn is now part of the Outlook profile card. So what you would have to do is look at any contact within your Microsoft Outlook contacts, and you have to pin it so that you can look at all the information, and you can select LinkedIn from there to see if that individual is a LinkedIn connection. So the question may be, where do I find this information? Where do I find the ability to connect to LinkedIn or download the CSV file? So what you must do is go to, and there's numerous blog posts on this topic, and it is still very confusing for many people. So you must go to My Network. You must select Connections. Under the Manage Sync and Imported Contacts, which is here, let's see. Take a step back. select Manage Sync and Important Contacts, which brings you to the advanced actions here. Now you select Export Contacts here. So this gives you member data. So download your data and you can select what data you want to download from LinkedIn. So this is what so think in terms of Microsoft Search and what you have the ability to feed into Microsoft Search in Office 365. This is a very powerful data source to import into Microsoft Search. So if I wanted to import contacts, profile, connections, recommendations, invitation, this is all powerful data that has been curated utilizing AI, and you will request the archive. Now, I've already requested the archive many times in preparation for this particular session. So when you request the archive, you will receive an email that tells you the email is based on your LinkedIn account itself. That tells you your download will be ready. So now we'll head back to Office 365 and we'll go into our next section here, which is utilizing SharePoint custom lists as a dashboard for LinkedIn content. So let's take a look at how this actually comes into play. So what I have here is a website that I created called Manage Path. That's my company. So you have your Microsoft site, and this is designated as, let's say, a publisher hub for content. So we'll go to the LinkedIn Publisher Hub, which is a simple SharePoint list. Actually, let's go to LinkedIn Dashboard. And so this is a SharePoint list that I will open. Take a most recent example. And I'm simply going to edit the list so you can see the fields that you must have in order to publish your content. So these particular fields, I've tested this time and time again. You must have the following fields in the following order in order to publish the content utilizing the Microsoft Flow template that I'm going to share with you shortly to LinkedIn. So this is the list itself. Image-wise, you have a 256 character limit. Keep that in mind. So in this case, I had to utilize a URL shortener, and content URL is the link that you want to share with that particular post. So we're going to head over to Microsoft Flow and launch Microsoft Flow. And what you have here are flow templates. So there are flow templates that exist specifically for LinkedIn. So what we have here is the SharePoint flow template. As you can see, I've already connected my LinkedIn and SharePoint instances. I am the owner of this particular flow. And so, let's see. Going to edit this particular flow in order to test the flow. So, simple flow, when an item is created, share the article. Now, of course, this is a 200 level session, so this is just to demonstrate that this feature or capability is functional. Now, if I was to take a step further, I can add a notification utilizing new step to email certain team members. I can have approval built in. So there's numerous steps that you can add on to this basic feature. So when I select test, I'm going to utilize data from previous runs in order to demonstrate that it works. I'm going to save and test. And so now the flow is actually running. It is successfully run. And so when I go to LinkedIn, I will receive a notification. And this is from a test earlier. And when content is successfully posted using a previous example, it will say that your post was shared successfully. So let's look at the post itself. You have your link here. Now the site itself does not produce the image, but it's important to keep in mind that you can also go in and make the edits as well. Utilizing Microsoft Flow, you can schedule when you want this task to occur as well. And if I go back within my post history, this was a previous example that, let's see here. There we go. See all activity. What I'm looking to arrive towards is a previous post that I made, but we can also take a look at it within SharePoint. There we go. And so when I look at how to create and use modern pages, and I also go to Microsoft Flow and I test. Use data from a previous run. So I'll test something from 3 weeks ago and allow it to run, and it will publish to my account. Now, in terms of approval, as we wrap things up for this session, you can utilize additional flow templates, and you can utilize Microsoft Forms in order to automate your approval. So within Forms, you can submit a response, and if approved, allow that article to publish. So if you have multiple departments where one individual publishes content, or you have, let's say, a speaker at SharePoint Saturday Philly who submits their slides to the marketing director, they can then approve the slides to make sure that all company data and images are in accordance with the governance plan, and then utilize this form in order to publish. So let's take a look at the form itself. As I launch Microsoft Forms and bring this full screen, I'm going to go to my content approval form. And again, you have your content URL, your title, description, image URL, and comments. And from there, you would submit, and that information would be published directly to not LinkedIn personal profile. The first demo utilizing Microsoft Flow was to publish to the personal profile. This particular demo is for the company page. So these are the fields you would utilize in order to do so according to the Flow template. So in order to access the Flow templates, you simply go into your gallery and you can do searches for, let's say, possibly LinkedIn, yes. So the various templates that you have available where you can schedule articles or share from a list. If you have a corporate blog, you can also have this information within a SharePoint list in order to make sure it's available. So, and also OneNote. So when you look at the various ways that Office 365 can integrate SharePoint lists in terms of blog updates or utilizing really simple syndication or RSS, you also have the ability to publish directly from OneNote. You also have Microsoft Forms. So there's numerous ways to integrate Office 365 with the LinkedIn platform utilizing Microsoft Flow. So as we head to the home stretch here, this is a screenshot of what I've just walked through in terms of the LinkedIn Flow connector. And what we've learned in terms of LinkedIn governance, this is not something that is a discussion 5 years down the line. I've just covered numerous ways, up to 8 ways that Office 365 integrates directly with Microsoft LinkedIn. So how that is to be done must be a discussion that is utilized because within Microsoft Outlook, you have the ability to connect. I've covered various tools from Flow, OneNote, Microsoft Forms, and SharePoint lists in order to automate the ease of use, publishing content to LinkedIn, and also accessing profile data within Microsoft Outlook. There's various strategies to automate the LinkedIn post utilizing Microsoft Flow. This has been the 2019 Reputation Management Part 2, where we cover LinkedIn for the Work Center. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of SharePoint Saturday Philly. If you text LinkedIn 2018 to 44222, you will gain access to all of the on-demand materials. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your event.